Ever squint at a chimp, scratching its hairy armpit and wonder, why don't we do that anymore? Why don't we just live naked like nature intended? It's a question that's probably kept many a curious human awake at night, usually after an embarrassing public wardrobe malfunction of their own. Let's dig in. For millions of years, our ancient ancestors, the earliest hominids, were indeed the ultimate exhibitionists, running around just au naturel, no worries. Sun on their skin, wind in their, well, everywhere. It was the original free-range lifestyle. No laundry, no fashion crises, pure evolutionary bliss. So what happened? What made our ancestors suddenly think, you know what, I really need to wrap myself in something, anything? Was it sudden modesty? Did one caveman wake up, look down, and declare, my gosh, I've been showing too much ankle, this simply won't do? Highly unlikely, my friend. The actual reasons are far more gritty, practical, and frankly, a bit chilly. Mostly, it boils down to two words: survival and expansion. Our earliest ancestors evolved in warm, sunny Africa. Their biology was perfectly adapted to that climate, just like those chimps we saw. But humans are a curious, restless bunch. We started to wander. We packed our metaphorical bags, and by bags, I mean our bare hands and feet. Around 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus began venturing out of Africa. Big step! But what happens when you leave the tropical paradise? Well, it gets cold. Like, really, really cold. We're talking ice ages, vast glaciers, and winds that could freeze your eyebrows off. Suddenly, that sleek, hairless body wasn't so much an advantage, as it was a giant shivering billboard screaming, "Predator! Come get your frozen snack!" So, the first, most undeniable reason for clothing? Protection from the elements. Pure and simple. Keep warm or become an ice sculpture. Imagine trying to hunt a woolly mammoth in just your birthday suit. Not only would you freeze, but the mammoth would probably laugh at you. But where do you get clothing when you don't have looms, needles, or even a good pair of scissors? You look around, of course. Animals. They already came pre-packaged with a perfectly good fur coat. And our ancestors were already pretty good at taking down animals for food. After you've had your fill of delicious mammoth stew, what do you do with the leftover hide? Throw it away? No! That's prime real estate. So the first garments were likely just animal skins, crudely draped over the shoulders or tied with sinew. Basic, but effective. Think of it as the original throw blanket, but, still attached to a recently deceased animal. Fashionable and practical. Now, how far back are we talking here? When did this furry revolution really begin? Scientists have a clever way of figuring this out. They look at lice. Yes, the tiny irritating critters that love human hair. Specifically, they look at two kinds: head lice and body lice. Head lice live in our hair. Body lice? They prefer the cozy nooks and crannies of our clothing. They need clothing to survive and reproduce. And here's the kicker. Body lice are a subspecies of head lice. They evolved from head lice. They're like distant, annoying cousins. By dating the divergence of these two louse species, geneticists can pinpoint roughly when humans started consistently wearing clothes. And the answer? Estimates vary, but many point to around 170,000 to 83,000 years ago. That's a long time before your favorite denim jacket. This time frame aligns perfectly with humans migrating out of Africa into colder climates during the last ice age. Coincidence? UG thinks not. Before 170,000 years ago, our ancestors likely had thicker body hair. Imagine being a walking carpet. Then, as we lost fur for better thermoregulation in Africa and started sweating efficiently to cool down, clothes became crucial for reversing that heat loss when migrating to chillier zones. It's like regrowing your fur, but detachable. So goodbye, natural fur coat. Hello, actual fur coat. But not just any fur coat. A better-made fur coat. Early clothing wasn't like modern tailored suits, obviously. It was raw hides, tough and stiff, wrapped and tied. Imagine wearing a bear rug. These raw hides were heavy, chafed the skin, and didn't offer much freedom of movement. Not ideal for a quick sprint from a saber-tooth. To make hides usable and comfortable, they needed processing. This wasn't a quick job. It was an art form, a craft. Scrapers, made from stone or bone, were essential for removing flesh and softening the skin. Talk about elbow grease. This fleshing and scraping was crucial. It prevented the hide from rotting and made it more pliable. Nobody wants a stiff, stinky coat. Archaeological sites across Europe and Asia, dating to the Upper Paleolithic, show a proliferation of these hide-working tools. Sites like Kostenki in Russia, dating to around 40,000 years ago, have yielded thousands of these tools. They were getting serious about their wardrobes. But a draped hide is one thing. True, form-fitting clothing that offers maximum warmth? That requires a little more finesse. Enter the bone needle, a tiny, often overlooked invention, but utterly revolutionary for fashion, and indeed, human survival. These needles first appear in the archaeological record around 30,000 to 40,000 years ago, primarily in Eurasia. Tiny wonders, really. Before needles, garments were mostly wraps. With needles, you could actually sew pieces together. Think primitive tailoring. They allowed for cutting and sewing pieces of hide together with sinew or plant fibers. Suddenly, you could create sleeves, leggings, and even hoods. Imagine the difference. No more flapping hides letting in the icy wind. Now, snugly tailored suits of fur, total game changer for Arctic exploration. This wasn't just comfort. It was critical for surviving the harsh, unforgiving environments of the last ice age, especially in Siberia. The better the tailoring, the less heat escaped. It literally meant the difference between life and becoming a prehistoric popsicle. Sites like Sungir in Russia, dating around 28,000 years ago, revealed burials adorned with thousands of mammoth ivory beads. These weren't just sprinkled on. They were meticulously sewn directly onto fitted garments, outlining sleeves and hoods. Talk about bling! This level of craftsmanship implies a highly developed clothing culture. They weren't just surviving, they were expressing themselves. Fashion, baby. But protection wasn't just about cold. What about the scorching sun in warmer regions? Or pesky insects that carry diseases? Clothing provided a barrier. Think of it as ancient SPF and bug spray, all in one stylish, if hairy, package. It also protected against thorns, sharp rocks, and general abrasions during hunting and foraging. No more scraped knees. Imagine the sheer discomfort of navigating a dense forest completely bare. Every twig, every nettle, a fresh agony. So we've covered survival. But what about the other big reason? Social signaling. Humans are, after all, very social creatures. Clothing quickly became a way to identify group members, display status, or even attract a mate. The original Tinder profile, if you will. Think about it. Who's wearing the biggest, warmest, most impressive furs? Probably the best hunter. Instant respect, and maybe a date. Wearing certain animal pelts could signify prowess, courage, or even spiritual connection to the animal. It was a statement piece. Beyond furs, early humans also used pigments. Red ochre, for instance, was widely used, not just for cave art, but on bodies and clothes. Red ochre has been found at sites over 200,000 years old, sometimes with clear signs of grinding and processing for use. Ancient makeup. What does a splash of red say? Power. Vitality. I just killed a mammoth and I'm ready to party. Who knows, but it stood out. These pigments could also serve practical purposes, like insect repellent or sun protection. Multitasking fashion. Decorations weren't limited to pigments. Beads made from shells, teeth, or bone were also highly prized and painstakingly crafted. A necklace of perforated shell beads from Blombos Cave, South Africa, dates back 75,000 years. Early jewelry, early fashion. These weren't just random trinkets. They required skill and effort to make, instantly signaling the wearer's status or creativity. So, from basic warmth to complex social statements, clothing evolved rapidly. But what about modesty? When did that enter the picture? Well, compared to the survival and social reasons, modesty is a relatively latecomer to the fashion game. And it's highly cultural. Many traditional societies, even today, don't prioritize covering up for modesty. Their clothing serves other functions. Practicality first. The idea of covering specific body parts out of shame or propriety is more often tied to agricultural societies and developing social norms. So while your grandma might insist you cover your knees, ancient humans were mostly worried about covering their vital organs from frostbite. As populations grew and societies became more complex, clothing became an even stronger marker of identity. Think distinct tribal garb, different patterns, specific types of furs, unique beadwork, all broadcasting who you were, where you came from, and your standing. It was a uniform, a flag, a resume, and a personal ad, all stitched into one. Pretty efficient, huh? And the materials evolved too. From stiff hides, they learned to make supple leather, then eventually textiles like linen and wool. Leather, tanned and softened, was a massive improvement. It was durable, flexible, and could be worked into more comfortable forms. Evidence for linen use dates back to the Republic of Georgia, where dyed flax fibers were found from around 36,000 years ago. Imagine the patience to process flax, spin it into thread, and then weave it into fabric, a true testament to human ingenuity. This wasn't just practical. The sheer effort invested in producing textiles shows they valued beauty and craftsmanship, even then. So the story of clothing isn't just about covering up. It's about survival, innovation, migration, and the very human need to connect. From crude animal skins to intricate beadwork and woven textiles, our wardrobe tells a tale of incredible resilience and creativity. It allowed us to conquer new environments, brave the harshest ice ages, and eventually spread across the entire globe. Without that primal urge to bundle up, we might still be stuck in Africa, sweating it out, never knowing the joy of a good pair of pants. And probably still battling those infuriating body lice without the proper fabric real estate. Just imagine the itching. So next time you're picking out an outfit, take a moment. Appreciate the journey, the ice, the needles, and the very first fashionistas. They literally paved the way for your comfy sweats and designer jeans. You owe them a lot, really, a lot. And that, my friends, is the naked truth about why we stopped being naked. Shocking, isn't it? Did you know any of that? Or were you like, duh, modesty? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this wild ride through fashion's Stone Age, don't forget to hit that like button. It tells the mammoth-sized algorithms you approve. And subscribe for more bizarre historical insights that'll make you sound ridiculously smart at your next cave painting party. Until next time, stay curious, stay clothed, and maybe give your clothes a little hug for all they've done for humanity. UG